I said to the manager before the game that the first day of the season is like dreamer's day because anything's possible. And then I've just watched a dream come true for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, scoring, winning in front of Stretford End is it's the perfect debut. So yeah, very thankful.
You got introduced to the crowd before the game,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hear the Stretford End and they start singing. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Hopefully, of course, it's the first of many. Yeah, it's great.
And then you heard them in full voice when you actually score at the Stretford End, and you realised just how special that is.
Yeah, it was. I can't really describe it. It's a bit difficult, but it was great. It was great.
Look, I think it's absolutely magnificent. You know, you've now joined Ruud van Nistelrooy and a couple of other Dutch people who have scored on their debut for Manchester United.
Oh, really?
So there was Ruud, Donny van der Beek, Alexander Büttner, and now you. So
that's a nice list to be a part of. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better, does it?
Yeah.
Look, you've joined a big club in Manchester United. You've come from Bologna. How different is it for you here than it was anywhere else that you've been in your career? Do you feel the pressure of being Manchester United?
To be honest, pressure not really, but you feel the size of the club. It's a lot bigger. But in terms of people, there were great people in Bologna, and as far as I know, there's been great people here as well. So the difference is just it's in the size of the club. Of course, the league is also different. It's a bit more intensive than in Italy. So. But yeah, that's just how it is.
Look, congratulations. I know you're hungry, so I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What are you going to grab to eat?
I have no idea.
Whatever's available.
Yeah, some pasta maybe. Thank you.
Rick, ahead of this one, you said we might not see the best of Manchester United on the opening day. Was that better than you expected?
I'm very pleased with the performance. Not all the spells in the game, a difficult start, but then we found the game and I think we pressed very well. We had many high ball regains. We had some good turnovers where we created chances. We created chances indeed also from open play from our possession. So yeah, we can be happy with the performance. And if you then win in the end, that is very pleasing because every manager, every team wants to start with a win in the season.
3 new players we saw tonight. It looks like you've definitely found a goal scorer.
The striker has to score, and he was on the right spot in the right moment, and that is one of his most important jobs, scoring goals.
Noussair Mazraoui plays almost the full game. What did you make of his debut?
I think it was very pleasing, and so I'm used to it. How he can play, he's not 100% fit, and I'm sure when he comes in the right fitness levels, he will contribute even more. But if you see this game from him, it was very consistent, very well performed, high confident, very good on the ball, defending very properly. So yeah, I think well done.
What did you make of the way that the side gelled together? Are you confident that this side looks more compact than last season? It looked like they had more control of the midfield particularly.
Yeah, but you can't compare with last year. We didn't have a back four as we had today. And so this back four is a proper back four. Are class players who know their job and do their job and know also how to collaborate. And there was a big difference in many games last season where we had to make so many compromises to construct a back four. So don't compare this with many games from last season.
Is it the clean sheet that pleased you most today in that sense?
It's very important, and we know we are capable of to do this, but to kill is important in both boxes, and today we did, although we could have scored more goals.
Thanks, Eric. Well done.
He's got you all wrong.
I'm always nice to him.
Yeah.
Perception.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you know what? What Eric Ten Hag was saying there puts me in mind of something that you've always said before the start of the season, which is
a steady 7 out of 10. You want to go out there, you don't want to do anything too badly, you don't necessarily want to be spectacular, you don't want to reach for the stars, you just want to get a nice steady win under your belt. Is that what Manchester United did?
Yeah, steady and unspectacular. It's been me for many years. No, look, tonight they had to win, and it didn't look like they were going to for large parts of that game. But it's critical that they got, I think clean sheets are important. I think they were better defensively than they were last season, there's no doubt about that, and I think actually bringing on defenders and having that strength in depth, the squad looks bigger and thicker. Obviously they've got a couple of players to come back into it. It wasn't spectacular football, but I don't expect the way in which they're set up tonight to ever play spectacular football. But it's positive, it's generally positive. I thought Xerxes coming on scoring the winner, to have that sort of presence to replace Højlund, obviously when he's not fit, is important. You know, United have struggled in that position for a couple of years.
I think for United tonight, when you're watching them, there was a few signs of what we saw last season, but it was nowhere near what we saw last season. So there was times when Fulham counter-attacked against them and probably should have done better, but it wasn't what we saw here last season. And we talk about that with United a lot, but a problem for them last season was scoring goals. I mean, I think Fulham they scored 2 more than Fulham last season, and Fulham are a sort of really organised, a little bit defensive at times type of team. So they missed chances tonight. So when you think about did they deserve to win, yes, they weren't spectacular, but they had some big chances, United, and didn't take them. And going forward, that's again, they've got to be more clinical.
That's what I wonder if the difference that a player like Xerxes brings in, particularly as we started off by saying in the absence of Højlund, the fact that they are now taking those chances in the way that they weren't before he was on the pitch.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your attacking players. And Eric mentioned particularly players off the bench. And I tell you, it was a brilliant finish. I thought it was a really good finish. We couldn't figure out, what was it, an OG, how we got the connection on it. His link up, he was neat and tidy. And sometimes you need a player to come to your club that's kind of under the radar in terms of his signing. And then this is really poor from Fulham here. Poor, is it Kearney trying to nick the ball there? Ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, United, you know, you did feel United were a threat. Yeah, they need to punish teams a bit more, but hopefully that will come. But even his link up there, listen, nice and simple, gives it wide, and what you want any of your strikers then to get into the box. And I think that's a beautiful finish, absolutely lovely goal. And for a new player to come to your club, particularly for attacking players, to score on your debut is huge.
Yeah, look, when everyone thinks that you're going to run forward near the end of the game, he stands still and picks up the ball deep. And that tells you that maybe he could play at times with Højlund as Højlund gets fit later in the season and play off him. But like you say, to get into the ball, he uses the pace on the ball and just deflects it into that far corner. And it is, I mean, I wasn't sure, we were commentating, and I was actually saying to Rob Hawthorne, I probably made it more difficult for him, because I actually thought it was an own goal. I thought Bassi had actually put it in his own net, but it wasn't when you see it from that angle.
Nope, it was very much his goal, and he will certainly be claiming it his first goal on his Premier League debut for Manchester United, for Joshua Zirkzee, as Manchester United get that 1-0 victory and a great start to this new. Celebrated here at Old Trafford, and also by Manchester United fans who will have been watching on, because they'll know what went on last season. How much of an improvement do you think there's? But it's one game. It's the opening game of the season.
Let's get carried away.
No, I'm not going to say let's get carried, but I'm going to say green shoots is what I'm going to ask if there are.
Look, the squad's better. There's no doubt about that. I think that they're going to be better this season without a shadow of doubt, because they have to be. It was embarrassing for large parts of last season. It was pathetic in certain games, and you wondered what the hell was going on. And the manager, as we said before the game, will find himself in a position where he'll think, he will have thought for the last few weeks of the season, the way in which he was doing interviews, that he was going to get sacked. And then the City game changed everything. So, you know, where they are now, I think, is a strong position from where they were, and they will be better, but there's still a lot of work, and there'll be some pain along the way, I think. Yeah,
they did concede those opportunities to Fulham, and if one of those had gone in, we could have been telling a very different story at this time of night.
I mean, the big one was when Martinez dived in on the halfway line. I think it was Pereira who was running at Harry Maguire, and he doesn't get that pass. You get that pass right, there's a great chance that Fulham maybe take the lead. And listen, we've seen this a lot last season on that counter-attack, pace running behind, but they just didn't capitalise, Fulham. And at this stage in the game, it did look like they were going to be the team to go on and win it. I mean, that is such a poor pass when you're thinking about the level that we're talking about here, Premier League level. I mean, Harry Maguire does well in the end. You've got to give him a bit of credit. But in that situation, any team in the Premier League has got to be running at the goalkeeper and backing your man to finish. And there's a couple of others as well. As I said, on the counter-attack, there was still that threat there from Fulham. We've seen it, not as much tonight that we saw at times last season, but situations like this, better teams will capitalise there and hurt you. But, I mean, coming in tonight, listen, the first game of the season, there's a little bit of pressure for every team because of the situation. It was the first game, you want to get off to a good start, but more important for Manchester United because we know the situation with the manager and what happened at the end of last season, but that is so poor.
Just watch Iwobi here, and he stands. If he just goes and makes the run in, Iwobi the 17, he just stands still and.
The decision-making and final pass from... getting interrupted.
An issue with the final pass, but no issue with the clearance, which came from Lisandro Martinez, who joins us now. Thank you so much for coming over to talk to us. I imagine from your perspective, not just nice to get the win, but nice to get a clean sheet.
Yeah, for sure. It's really important, but the most important thing is the 3 points. Good start, and still we have to improve a lot.
The guys have talked a lot about how much there's been change in Manchester United's defence, and again, there were changes throughout the match this evening. How difficult does that make your job, or do you just have to adapt to it?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to play for this big club, big pressure, but we love that. We love that. We have to play in the positive way. We have to take that pressure, and we have to take this responsibility. And yeah, like today, for example, we had good connection with the team, with the subs, with the fans as well. So yeah, for me, I'm really proud to play for this club.
Lisandro, sometimes I played centre-back and then moved to right-back. You've obviously played most of your United career at centre-back, but you played a couple of games at left-back. How do you find it at left-back? Are you comfortable there?
Well, like you said, I didn't play many games as a left fullback, but as a player, we have to give alternative to the team. If the team need me there, I will give everything. So, and even everyone, I think everyone is ready to play for every position. But if you have to play there, I will give everything from my side.
Fullback's easier, isn't it? Fullback's easier. Yeah. That's what we're trying to get across to you. Yeah.
Lisandro, early in the game, you had to deal with Traore on that side. Mm-hmm. He went past you and Casemiro, but there was a situation maybe a minute or two later that you dealt with it, really well. What was the thinking there about how you had to do him because of the pace that he's got?
Well, he's really, yeah. I saw it.
You saw it in real time as well.
I sent him to the gym. No. No, it's really, really difficult to play against these opponents. But yeah, I learned from the first one because in the first situation, he killed me, and then I killed him back. So yeah, we have to be concentrate, and when we lose 1 second, focus.
So what is it you think about there when you're in a situation like this? What is it that you need to do better on the second one? What did you get wrong there?
I think I don't have to think too much. I have to go to the duel. If I go with confidence, with 100% confidence there, I should win the ball. But it's small details. But in the Premier League, small details in the end are big details, Yeah, it's a big deal. 1 second. That's it.
Lisandro, when you first came to the Premier League, there were a lot of comments about you because of the physicality of this league. Yeah. How have you found it?
You mean for...
Exactly, my friend.
I said it was too small. It's actually, you're quite... He's bigger than you. Yeah, he's bigger than me.
No. You've got heels on.
No, just as a player, we are ready for everything, for criticize, for everything. It's part of our job. If we are here to just for excuses, yeah, we are not ready for this club, especially in this club. If you play bad, be ready for the criticize. So I was ready for that. I think the first 2 games I didn't play well, and I take the responsibility. And I said, one more, and then everything changed in football.
Lisandro, when you come from the Dutch league, did you think about like the English Premier League, maybe long ball, maybe more set pieces? Did you think about that yourself in terms of how you would deal with that, coming to like sort of the Premier League and coming from the Dutch league?
Well, first of all, I always believe in myself. I always believe in my strength as well. I know that I'm not tall, really tall, but I will win. I will go with personality in every ball, every duel. I will show that I'm there in the pitch, and also to get that connection with my teammate. If you win the first ball, if you win the duel, your teammate will say, "Hey, I should work like you." So that's a measure for me. And yeah, it's different league, absolutely different system as well. In Ajax, I think in every game we control more the game, and here in Manchester we are trying. Today, for example, we show in the first half playing in the half of the pitch. We show good moments, but I think it's really different. It's really different. Here is you play against Fulham, against every team, and everyone is quick, strong, good with the ball. So yeah.
Does it help that there are, I think, 5 players now who have that Ajax connection? Does it help that they can understand what everybody else wants to do and what Erik ten Hag wants them to do?
Yeah, well, it's a good point because when you know the system, when you know how the team wants to play, I think it's better. I think, for example, the new signing will directly from day one, they knew how we have to play, how to press. So yeah, it's good.
Thank you very much, Lissandro, for coming out to talk to us. Congratulations on the win. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Well done.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
He should speak more after games. Obviously, that's the first time that I think we've seen him come out and do an interview like that. Obviously, learning the language and getting used to it. But I think when you hear him speak like that, it gives an authority and a belief to the dressing room because he's confident in himself.
What was it you took from the interview then? What was it that he said that impressed you?
I just think his manner. I mean, obviously the fact that he'd had a right go at him at the start of last season, he fronted up to it and didn't sort of. I think that's a good. He's got a massive personality on the pitch. I think when United have got him in the team, they're a lot more aggressive. He wants to, and that Argentinian sort of fight and spirit is just there right the way through. I mean, I think the fact that he speaks with a level of belief and authority will give his teammates comfort.
That was a brilliant interview because, I mean, he's giving you sort of a little bit of tactical insight in terms of the team. He's speaking about other players. And you know what he did? He didn't come on and sort of make excuses. Of course, we criticise players or we analyse and sometimes we give them praise. But to come on and say, I'm playing for Man United. If you think you can come here and not be sort of questioned, looked at, criticised, and he was heavily criticised at the start of the last season. Obviously, he said I didn't play my best football, when he first came in the first 2 games. But that type of personality to come up and front that and not look for excuses, he looks like he's a warrior. You can see that when he plays. But yeah, I thought he came across brilliantly.
And there's been a lot of changes at the club over the last few years, and sometimes it does take players 1 or 2 seasons to settle into a club and the system, particularly when they pick up some injuries. So we have to give the benefit to certain players. It might take 12 months to 2 seasons to settle into the club. So we should maybe sometimes give players the benefit of the doubt.
And also he had injuries last season. I think only made 8 starts in the Premier League. And Ten Hag talked about how much they missed them. But I noticed that you enjoyed when he was talking about that battle with Adama Traore, and he was like, "You got me once, but the next time I got him."
And that's the name of the game. You will obviously lose a few battles, but I think just looking into his eyes there, he seems to enjoy that physical side of it as small as he is. But
that's the thing we've now realised. Not that small.
Do you know what he showed?
We all went like that.
when you listen, he's got a bit of a personality, hasn't he? He's got a bit of character. And we talked about the technical ability of a footballer from Man United, but I keep going back to it. You need a bit of character, you need to show personality, and he looks like he's got plenty of that.
So where does he play then? You asked him about how comfortable he was playing at left back or whether he wants to play at centre back. What happens when De Ligt comes in?
Look, I said before the game, I think, Roy, you agreed that with the centre backs they've got, when they're all fit, it wouldn't surprise me if, with the makeup of the squad, that they did go to a 3 at times this season. I don't know why, I just feel like that there could be it could suit them. I think De Ligt and Martinez probably will be the 2 that he'll go with at the point whereby it settles down and they're all fit and everyone's firing. But it wouldn't surprise me also if he did go to a back 3 at some points.
No, it's got to be De Ligt and Martinez. I think that will be the partnership. Listen, at times they might go to a 3. I don't see that. I can't think of the top of my head of him playing a 3 too often if he's...
No,
I can't remember. I mean, I'm not sure he's played it since he come, has he? I'm not sure.
No.
But I know what you're saying. There's a lot of centre-backs there, but being totally honest, Johnny Evans has probably come in to help the club out last season and finds himself here. And Harry Maguire he's probably not going to find himself as first choices. You're not going to play him and De Ligt together, probably too similar. So I would imagine De Ligt and Martinez would play.
Yeah, and that is what Erik ten Hag wants to be able to do. But obviously there are issues at left back for Manchester United. In the meantime, he can perform more than capably in that position.
They've got problems at full-back just generally, haven't they? I mean, Dalot's had to go over to the left tonight. Shaw and Malacia now have been injured too often. to think that you can rely on them. That's a real shame, particularly for Luke Shaw, who I think when he is fit is an outstanding performer, but he's a long-term absentee quite often for United, and you're ending up now with a right-footed left-back, and it does create an imbalance. It is a problem for United, that.
Mazraoui, though, I know you were just having a chat before we came on air. You were both impressed with how he performed, particularly for a debut.
I just thought the fact that, you know, Fulham have got pace in wide areas. It's a big pitch, Old Trafford. It's his first game. He's only just joined the club. I actually thought he had a really, really good game. Settled in really well.
He was steady where, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The standard of the game wasn't great. Let's not be kidded on by that. But again, it's the first game of the season, and he done the basics well. He looks like he got through it fine. Looks a decent athlete. So yeah, that was a good tackle there. So he'd be pleased. And again, when you go to a club and to get the victory and the clean sheet, particularly for a defender, they'll be delighted.
I mean, even though it's an easy position to play, as Roy says, it's still got to do a little bit.
Easiest on the pitch, trust me.
It's harder than it used to be. I believe. Look, when you have a team who start the season like this, in a season like that follows on from a tournament, Manchester United, I think, had 8 players who were off at either the Euros or the Copa America. Is there an element of pre-season actually about some of the games in the Premier League at this stage?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to Ten Hag's comments before the game, talking about not being ready. I think they were completely sort of taken out of context. I think no team are going to be 100% first day, because we all know as players, it probably takes you 3 or 4 games to feel like you're getting up to speed. And I think that's what he meant when he said that, and I think it was just blew out of proportion with some of the headlines. I think every manager would say exactly the same, really. You're trying to integrate new players. You've got players, as I said, who come back late, probably only on the 3rd game, maybe played a couple of pre-season games. So I think everybody's in that situation. But I go back to something I said earlier. I mean, we know the stakes are high for United and Eric Ten Hag this season. We can't sort of camouflage that. I mean, what happened at the end of last season, the way he was treated at the end of last season, didn't know if he was sort of going to be in a job 2 weeks after the end. So, there was a thought about changing the managers. So, if Man United don't get off to a good start, that pressure's going to heat up. So, I think it was a huge result for him here tonight.
I think it's going to be stop-start, not get going proper till November, just because the international breaks are hitting us really thick and fast, September, October, November. So, it could be a little bit sort of stuttering in the early parts of the season.
Well, let's look at them. This takes us up to the October international break. So we're sort of looking at Manchester United's next 6 fixtures. Brighton away, Liverpool at home, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Aston Villa. It's not the easiest, is it? Roy?
Do you know what? I'm always a bit wary, honestly, of looking too far ahead. Honestly, I know it's a bit boring.
Because there isn't any element of form or momentum behind either of the sides.
Obviously, the one that jumps out, of course, the big game, of course, is Liverpool at home. We know how big that is. But Brighton away, again, they've got a new manager. We don't know how that's going to pan out, the style of play they're going to have. Listen, United, they've gone to Palace last season. They were dreadful down there. Spurs, Villa going strongly. So, again, I'd be just focused on the next game. Take that bit of confidence. Again, we go back to that word, momentum. Even from one game, you can take that, but building it. You can't be as hit and miss as last season. Even tonight they weren't great, but they were competing and they won the game. And that we go back to it. Find a way to win, even if you're not at your very, very best.
I think what Eric Ten Hag needs, when you look at the fixtures, I agree with Roy, you're not quite sure where you'll be in the fixtures, how the opposition are doing also. But we know the target has got to be top 4. I think if Man United miss out on the Champions League positions again, it'll be difficult to probably see Eric Ten Hag here next season. So what they've got to be careful of, United, is that they don't sort of fall away at any stage away from that area. They don't have to always be in the top 4, but they need to be within touching distance, sort of 3 or 4 points maybe off it. If you start getting to a situation where you're 7 or 8 points off it and you're getting to sort of November, December, and the team aren't playing particularly well, that's when he might have a problem. But I don't think anyone here believes Manchester United are going to be in a title race. They know that they're building to try and get there, but they've got to make sure that they're in the Champions League next season.
But just to go back to your point about them probably going to be stop-start until maybe the November international break, what then do they need to get from those next 6 games up to October? What do you want to see from them that would indicate that progress has been made, even if it is stop-start?
I think what we were crying out for all last season was a pattern and a style of play to develop whereby you knew there was consistency. I don't think we're ever going to see a proper Manchester United team until we see some sort of level of consistency, shape that repeats itself week on week. You knew a Jurgen Klopp team. You know now an Arteta team. You know a Pep Guardiola team. You know Ange Postecoglou team, even though he's only been there a season.
Do you think we'll ever know an Eric Ten Hag team? I mean, point being, Gary, I think if you're at a club for we're coming into his 3rd season now, that can't be a question. So are we sort of saying he is a type of manager who doesn't have a certain style? He just basically plays what's on.
There is an element of that, and I think, to be fair, I don't have a problem with it, because I think we at United, when we played, wouldn't necessarily always play the same way every single week. We play counter-attack some week play possession. But what I would say is there has to be some level of consistency of what they're doing. So the same back four, some principles of play that you think, okay, this is how they do play. They can't just keep changing the back four all the time, changing the midfield, changing the shape, injuries, all these things that repeated last season just unnerved and unsettled everybody. There's got to be something that they can sort of say, this is what we do, even if it is a little bit more sort of what would be ugly.
But that's where you need the players who can, particularly with your defence, can turn up and play 30, 40 games. They've had too many players, and of course, again, we go back to the injuries, but you need players who can turn up week in, week out and put in a good performance, and it can't be as hit and miss as last year. You can't turn up and be brilliant every week, but you want to look at the Man United side and understand the DNA and the personality of the team. Whereas last year you were turning up, and even tonight we weren't quite sure what we were going to get. And if Fulham were out there, if Fulham were a little bit sharper going forward, they would have punished Man United. A better team would punish Man United. But on the other side of it, United created some good chances the first half, even where Fulham were defending low. Nice one sort of chance. And then when the game was getting stretched, United looked decent on the counter-attack. And that's fine. You find different ways to win a match. But they need to find players who can turn up week in, week out, and they've not had that for a couple of seasons now.
There were point last season, obviously, to injuries, as you've all mentioned, for the reason that there was inconsistency in performances and inconsistency in style as well for Manchester United. Before that, maybe look at the, at times, scattergun approach to player acquisition. Has that changed, do you think, under the new investors? Has that changed under the new regime at Manchester United?
Well, Kelly, I was starting to get boring and tear my hair out every single week whinging about the same stuff. The lack of stadium sort of vision, the lack of training ground. Manchester United 12 years ago had the best team in the country, the best stadium in the country, and they had the best training ground in the country. It's unforgivable what's happened, and for 10 years there was negligence and nothing happening. What at least now we have is there's a stadium project that's on the horizon, there's 50 million being put into the training ground, and there's 6 new people been put in at the top of the club, which means there's disruption and there's interference with what was happening, which was just, I mean, it was reckless, and it will go down if for 10 years. That 1.4 billion that was wasted on players, and was, to be fair, every single season. We knew it. We knew when they signed Casemiro and Anthony, we knew when they signed all those players on a constant basis in panic mode that they were not going to do well. Now, over the last 10 years, have Manchester United had really bad coaches? You know, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Ralf Rangnick, Eric Ten Hag. They've all struggled like mad. So you've got to get to a point whereby you say you've got to make structural changes. I think there's about 200 or 300 people going to leave the club, which obviously means there's a lot of, at this moment in time, there's an unsettled feeling in the club. They need good first-team performance this season, just give some air cover so they can make the changes behind the scenes, but at least change is happening. That is the big thing. And I was whinging, moaning, screaming at this telly and into this microphone for years, just asking for some type of interference and change. It's here now, so now you've got to let this develop. It still might not work, but at least something's happening.
When you talk about the interference, Gary, obviously you talk about the recruitment. So do you think actually this summer it's being taken out of Eric Ten Hag's hands, if you like, and it's being more a club approach in terms of whether Eric Ten Hag's our manager next season, we're buying a certain player to do a certain job?
I mean, the one person out of those that are on that screen I know is Dan Ashworth, because I worked with him at the FA. The types of signings that Manchester United have made in the last 10 years won't happen at this club again if he's obviously got the power and authority. What I would say is this summer they've signed a couple of players that Eric Ten Hag knows, so they're still supporting the manager, it would seem, in players that he's obviously had a past history with. Am I surprised at that? A little bit, but on the other hand, they're the right profile, they're the right age, they're the right price. You know, they signed a centre forward there, Xerxes, 30-odd million quid. That would have been 70 million maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. So the prices seem to be better. The smoothness of the transactions seem to be better. It doesn't seem to be the same nonsense. And like they chased Sancho for 2 years. They chased De Jong for I don't know how long. They were chasing Bale, Fabregas in that first summer of Ed Woodward 10, 12 years ago. And it was nominating who they were going to... Like, it's not Football Manager. Manchester United have got to be a serious football club and do things in a serious way, and it looks like at least now those things are happening. Now, does that mean it'll bring success? No, but there's something started to happen which resembles what a football club should look like.
Talking about cutting out the interference, we're going to take a break until the mowers go past us.
They've actually wet us through, and now they're basically mowing grass behind us.
But the pitch is quite important, so they're going to make sure that they're looking after it.
Yeah, I'll say that was a good debut. 26 minutes in a Manchester United shirt, and he's already on the score sheet. Player of the match, though?
Well, probably not, but he had the biggest impact on the game, and that's the most important thing. I thought Bruno was Man United's best player. I thought actually Mazraoui had a good debut, actually. And it's a huge moment for Man United. Need a goal scorer. Struggled to score goals last season. Højlund, Beba mentioned about Højlund. He's got great attributes, but he needs to be more clinical in front of goal. Looks like Xerxes got 11 in the Serie A last season. Looks like he might be in the right place at the right time for a few of those this season.
What did you like most about him?
As I said before, asking the ball. Just give me the ball. It shows confidence, but also it shows you sometimes how football works. You score one goal, you're man of the match. Obviously, the goals are most important, but in this case, I agree with Owen, probably Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes deserved it more than him. But football it is sometimes like this. You score a goal, you're man of the match. A lot of work to be done yet for him. As I can see from the interview, he was very shy in a way, so he's still finding his footing around the club, probably. But he's in the box, he's attacking the ball, he's asking for the ball. It's a good start for him, so he'll be probably buzzing. Ruud will be buzzing as well, probably telling him what he did right or wrong, so he'll be ready for the next game.
It was a night of missed chances. Up to that point, they needed someone to be clinical.
Yeah, and what I thought he did well, and there was talk about this is what he did previously, he likes to come into midfield, so when teams are sitting back and it's hard to break down, which I thought Man United struggled with tonight against a defensive Fulham, he comes into midfield, helps that creativity, and then finds a gap that he did for the goal. So I think that'll be key when teams sit a little bit deeper. He might be really key. When teams are a bit higher, I think Højlund might be the player then to stretch and run in behind, but it's a good option. And at the end of the day, he came on. They were struggling in that final third. He come on and got the winner, and 1-0, great start.
Let's have a look at the goal and leave it up to the three of you to tell me what he did right here.
First of all, the turn from Bruno's amazing. It's brilliant, and it's what helps create the goal. And credit Xerxes. Watch him in the middle of the picture there. He's with Bassi there. He just drops off. And he knows where the space is. Good little turn there. Play it out wide and then get in the box. Garnacho had a huge impact on the game. Again, Casemiro sets it up. Whether it's a bit lucky, I don't think so. I think he means it. But this turn from Bruno is brilliant. And again, if you film, you got to foul. You just have to foul. But Bruno is just so smart. He just has a great feel for what it needs. Yeah. And, the top players decide games, Berber.
Exactly. Exactly what you said. The turn from Bruno is the key. Then asking for the ball from Xerxes, showing confidence, going into the box. Now, does he meant it to do it like this? Probably yes, because sometimes you need an ugly touch to the ball to get an ugly goal, but important one. Here it is. I think he meant it. I think he meant it. Just take the ball.
I think there's also a shout-out for Marcus Rashford. I don't know whether we can play the first clip again, because that space that Xerxes gets in the pocket is because Marcus Rashford ran in behind and stretched the back line to give him that. So I actually think, watching it back again, we see it in here now, obviously brilliant turn from Bruno, but I just want you to watch Rashford here now, sprinting away there, makes him drop those spaces in as well. I think at the top right, everyone's made the spaces open up for him, and he has to take them, granted, and then McTominay here distracts him and he can jump in. So I actually think there's a lot of good play from Man United as a whole to give him that space as well. So I think overall it's an impressive goal.
And also knowing when to attack, because at this late stage of the game as well, sometimes teams get tired. You leave a lot of space for the opposition to attack, so you need to know exact moment where to strike as well. Overall, it was okay goal in my book.
Yeah.
Still plenty more to be wished from the whole team, but that's what he wanted, 3 points.
We can't score as pretty goals as you scored. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to get a
ugly goal.
You're hard to please, aren't you?
Well, he's saying okay in his book.
Go.
Let's take a little bit more of a technical look at the finish, and you're going to talk us through it as we check it out one more time. This is the Joshua Xerxes goal, the technicalities of the finish.
Of hitting the ball, making the contact with the ball. Well, it's just, I think it just, I will touch the ball, hit the ball, and what happened. A bit afraid of the defender as well, because you can see his posture, position of the body, like he's going to hit me or no. I just put my foot there.
Oh, he's going to get smashed.
Yeah, exactly. But in the end of the day, I think it was enough contact to get the ball inside of the goal. And you see Ruud buzzing as well, because he wants to see the attacker doing well. and he's going to be telling them after the game and maybe tomorrow in the training session what you did right, what you did wrong. That's what you want to see, smiles all the way around.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely buzzing at Old Trafford. Got 3 points to start the season. There were moments, certainly in the build-up, which is exactly what Erik ten Hag would have wanted to see from his
games. You know, Man United lost 14 games last season. 14, and finished 8th. That's crazy. With that group of players and the money that they spent. So find a way. Look, today wasn't vintage, but it doesn't always have to be. You just got to find a way, be brave, especially at the end of the game. You know, be brave and play forward. That's why I love Bruno, because Bruno, whether you love him or not, he takes risks. He plays with risk to try and win games. And I just thought Bruno had a huge impact. And I think Ten Hag would be absolutely delighted at the fact they could win the game.
And we just heard that he was in line for player of the match if the game had finished goalless. Thoughts on his performance tonight?
I mean, his saves against Bruno, he made 3 or 4 really, really key saves coming out, and the angles were quite tight, and I was saying to Berber, should they have dinked it? But you were like, no, he was on great form tonight, and he will just be devastated to concede in the 87th minute, but there's nothing he could do. His overall performance was excellent.
Yeah, I feel sad for him, though. He was great in this game, but then that touch from Xerxes, nothing you can do. Probably he's going to go home thinking, man.
Going forward, though, for Fulham as well, talking about wasteful, that's exactly what they were in attack. Owen, let's look at some of the opportunities that they had.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think they really created enough. They looked really good in transition and counter-attack. This opportunity from Andres Pereira, what? Yeah. That is the worst pass. I mean, Harry does brilliant, to be fair, just to delay him, but he shouldn't even be allowed to win that. 2v1, that's easy stuff normally for such a good player like Pereira. They had moments, and most of them were in transition. I mean, Traore, when he gets in this space, you think everybody's in trouble. But again, you know, it's a dreadful ball. I mean, Keane tries to save it. Great way to pass. Can he maybe cut it back there for Iwobi? Yeah. They had moments, but Lisandro Martinez with a brilliant challenge. I think Marco Silva will be proud of the way they played today, Fulham. They showed real courage like they did last season. But I think at the top of the pitch, they lacked a bit of that end product.
Yeah, decision-making. This is the difference. Sometimes when you play big teams like United is, then when you have 2 or 3 chances in transition, counter-attacking football, this is where you need to make better chances. And some of the chances they created, if had better decision to be made from the players, they will score. But in the end of the day, that's the difference sometimes between big teams and small teams.
Before the match kicked off in the build-up, we were talking about Casemiro and how he probably needed to have an improved season. He's made a good start, do you think?
I thought that was my only thing, was that counter-attacking stuff, but actually, you know, he did everything perfect tonight, and they didn't get punished on the counter-attack, and that's not necessarily down to him, but his passing, I mean, he's the highest player up there. The weight of pass was exceptional tonight. Of course, we spoke about Leno and his saves. This one again, the vision, the weight, no one has to really move in their, you know, out of their stride. Look, he's always been a threat on set pieces, and
love this one. Ooh.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're thinking about Casemiro. We said at the start of the show about, you know, his defensiveness, stop counters, stop shots. Everything here is attacking forward, attacking midfield, right?
Which is great, because this is another dimension of his game, and
that's
something
pass.
Exactly something that the team will need going forward. So in this game, as I said, I think man of the match probably was him, because he was covering the whole pitch, and asking for the ball, supporting. So tireless all day long for him.
Oh, Casemiro, he was cooking today, honestly. He was so good. I love the way he played. You know, he looks a little bit fitter. Obviously, it was a difficult season for him. I mean, literally, he's everywhere.
Look at this, yeah.
Honestly, he was really, really good. That midfield balance is going to be a big thing. But with Colby, smart enough to know if Casemiro goes, I'll drop in. Mason Mount struggled today. You know, obviously, need to get him a little bit of confidence, get him some reps. But I just thought the team looked different when Garnacho came on. But it's amazing to see Casemiro play like Real Madrid Casemiro. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, Casemiro with 81 touches there, and as you mentioned, all over the pitch, really. He certainly, in the first 45 minutes, was their creator-in-chief, too. You just love some of the vision that he had tonight.
Yeah, and he was higher, a lot higher, you know, which I think Berber made a great point. You know, he likes to play forward, which is really important. Sir Alex used to always go on about that. When you win the ball, play forward. And I just thought it was unlucky that Bruno, you know, didn't really take the chances that came to him.
Who else stood out for you tonight?
Well, mainly him. And, of course, Bruno Fernandes as well. Me, from a point of attacking player, I always watch and try to judge the attacking players. But today, for example, Marco Rashford needs to do more. Mason Mount needs to do more. Garnacho needs to do more. Zirkzee had a good goal. Of course, he's going to get more minutes as well going forward. Rasmus when he's coming back. If we need to talk about Garnacho, for example, who is really attacking, the guy who needs to attack the defenders, sometimes the only thing he's missing so far, because he's so young, is to pick his head up and see where the other players are in a better position. And this is going to help his game going forward. So sometimes he needs to release the ball at the right moment. Other than that, as I said, this game is going to be quick, forgotten. 3 points, good. Let's prepare for the next one.
What about you, Karen? Who stood out for you tonight?
Look, we've just spoken about the players who stood out, so I don't want to say the same stuff. The one thing I think is most important for Man United is the clean sheet. We can talk about the attacking half. At the end of the day, if you don't keep a clean sheet, you don't get a result, period. So I think for them that was really, really important. I thought the block from Maguire at the end, you know, in that 2v1, an important moment in the game. Not sure about his dive in the first half, but we'll let that go, move on from that. But I thought the clean sheet was, especially at home, you have to build a fortress at home, and that clean sheet's really important.
But at the same time, sorry, when you play, let's say, City, Arsenal, if you leave spaces like this for counter-attacking football, then they will punish you. So they need to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. The clean sheet critical as well for Manchester United, and they win 1-0, leaving it late, 3 minutes from time. We're going to go back to Old Trafford now and speak live to a man who just 32 days ago won the Copa America, and now he's back in Premier League action. And we're going to hear from him because United have started with 3 points. They got the goal from one of the new signings. They got a clean sheet as well. Lisandro Martinez, your thoughts on the victory tonight and starting the Premier League with 3 points. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, first game, 3 points. That's the most important thing. We should kill the game today. We create many chances, but I'm happy with the 3 points. And yeah, that's the good start.
Was there a big sense of relief when Zirkzee eventually scored the goal that won it tonight?
Excuse me? Can you
Was there a
again?
big sense of relief? Because, as you said, so many chances, 87 minutes, the goal comes. Were you and your teammates really relieved?
Yeah, we showed the patience. We've been there in the game. So that's a good point for our team. Like I said, we should score the chance, but the good thing is, again, 3 points. The more goals will come, and still we have to improve. We know that we didn't do everything 100%, but yeah, we are happy with the results.
Lisandro, what's been the main focus for you guys in the pre-season to set you up for the rest of the season in the Premier League?
Few players we came late in the pre-season, but still we are improving a lot. I think we are growing up as a team. We have to improve more, I think.
And then, of course, we've talked about the goal. We've talked about getting the goal, the opportunities. What about the clean sheet? That must be such a huge point of pride for you and your teammates as well.
Well, that's a goal as well for us. We work a lot for that, to give to our attackers security. As a defender, as a centre-back, we want our attacker with confidence, no just only defending. No, they have to put in their mind that they have to attack, they have to score goal, that we want to be there for them.
And then just tell us a little bit more about the new players coming into the side. We saw one of them score a critical goal tonight. We also saw Mazraoui in action, De Ligt. Give us some insight into what they bring to the team.
Well, I'm not surprised about them. I know them very well. Knows his quality with the ball, without the ball, defending. He's an unbelievable player. Matag as well, with big personality in the back, with good communication, with no fear, always going in front to the duels. Joshua, you see, one chance is one goal. So that's me when I said about big players. So, and that's a message for everyone. No? They came and 1-2 weeks they are ready, and they show us the big impact.
Alessandro, thank you so much for your time. Great to have you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Alessandro Martinez just talking to us about Manchester United's first win of the season. It came courtesy of a Zirkzee goal, 1-0. That means Fulham head back to London with no points after the opening game. Let's hear from their manager. Here's Mark.
Marco, I guess the emotion right now is just frustration.
Yes, it's really tough for us to lose this game the way we lost, really. The game at different moments. I think we started really well, clear the way we wanted and creating some good moments. I think the first two dangerous moments, they were clear from ourselves. The first one we should have scored, a very good counter-attack from us. Clear different positions in the box to attack, and it's a chance for us to score that counter-attack from Adam on the right-hand side. And after the 20-25 minutes, good reaction from Man United. Of course, we first 20 minutes, the first half, they were better than us. We adjusted some things at half-time, and the second half much better, in my opinion. I think we did control the game better. We played far from our box as well, much more far, the way you pressed them a little bit, much more higher our block. And we had our chance when you play against Man United again, and we have moments 2 against 1, clear, with Andreas and Alex. 4 against 2 in some moments of the game, and we have to punish them. We have to create more clear chances and to score, because we had so many moments, and we were punished in the end of the game. And when the game became completely broken, a little bit crazy game, if I can say, in this way. And we should have kept playing in our way. We should have not let the game to go in that direction, because you don't want let them to take risk and let them to be broken from themselves, not for us. Okay, it's emotional, the game, the spaces they were there and the plays they tried, but you try to rush many times when it was not necessary for us. But it's what it is. It's a good game from ourselves with different moments. Unfortunately, we didn't get the points that probably I think we deserve as well.